Lift up your heavy soul. Drink up and feed it slow. 'Cause all we ever do is pick it up, then let it go. Flag, prideful Jabberwocky man. Tweet, tweet, tweet your gospel truth. You draw lines inside your game, amazed to play. What a shame, you found yourself a comfy space. Tantalize your ardent ways. Rebel thoughts are chased away in your sanctuary. You stand on black and white when we're living on Greyland. So stay young, the story in grey hangs. Paint the town lit red, you'll have a party in your echo chamber, bouncing off the same.
Good morning. For me, it is still very early. The light hasn't come up yet, but I wanted to take just a few moments to introduce what we're going to be looking at today. And in today's episode or chapter, I really wanted to get to the heart of motivation. That's our topic over at Primal Human Training for this month. And I was listening to an interview by a guy I really like, Christopher McDougall, who wrote a book, Natural Born Heroes. And I've talked about that before, but he was talking to a bunch of fitness professionals, and there's just this focus on food and exercise as the solution to every problem, especially when it comes to our health. And as I was listening, the thought crossed my mind that there's so much more, which is really, what I'm trying to share in this being human idea, to our really deep level of health and happiness. But as you can see from the title, I'm not talking about your body and I'm not talking about your mood. I'm talking about something much bigger. And that was the question I was asking myself. What is my bottom line core motivation that I get up in the morning and seek to fulfill every single day? And for me, that's the call to save the world. But it really isn't exactly that. It's taken me a long time to understand what that means, and that's a little bit of the history about how I got from there to here in our episode today. So we're just going to take a deep breath. We're going to travel through some time and some imagery, and I am going to see you at the end on the other side.
You always think you're right, and you're so sure that the emperor has no clothes, and you paint the town bright red until you can't breathe, all asphyxiated, lying under concrete.
When I first started looking for those who I admired, respected, and wanted to be like when I grew up, there didn't seem to be a consistency or theme that I could see at the time. Eventually, things like rescuing those who were broken, standing up for those who were weak, and a fierce protection of the innocent began to find their way into my life and my work. Then came this awareness that seeking risk and danger were something in me that I never knew I had until one night I was only one of about 40 people that ran towards the gunfire and not away from it. And eventually, names like Beryl Markham, Freya Stark, and other women who did what they were not supposed to do with their time, explore, travel, and dare to be more than women were allowed in their age and day, began to capture my attention and curiosity. What was there to do in this world still yet undone and unexplored? But underneath all of this was a story being written I felt but couldn't quite hear or make out what the message was, other than save the world. In no way was I going to say that out loud or tell anyone. That was a reality for me, and it's only now in the fall of my life that I can hear it more clearly. And after so many years alone in the desert have I been able to make out what the real meaning of the story was and is, not just for me, but for all of us.
You can't breathe, all asphyxiated, lying under concrete.
There's never been a time for me, as far back as I can remember, when saving the world wasn't my core mission and purpose and point of focus. But what that really means has changed and evolved, as have I. And now, as this world stands on the precipice of something bigger, scarier, and more confusing than any of us could have ever imagined being a part of, nothing else but how to survive in it and find meaning from it seem the only options any of us have in dealing with it.
Lying under concrete.
So what do? We mere tiny humans in the face of catastrophic earth changes and hidden forces that are orchestrating events beyond anything we can control the outcomes of. What can one person do to save the world in the face of all of this? And is this a real thing? And are there others who've heard the same call all their lives too? Or am I just one girl and one dog in the desert living in a delusional state brought on by isolation, and as I get ready to charge the windmills around me that still stand, will I fall, or will I do something necessary, needed, and dare I say actually helpful to save the world? Is this call I hear real?
Towards the war you never fought. This pleasure oozes from your mouth. That power eats you inside out. Board up the walls that tend to break. Your plastic soldiers have no name. They spread like arson in your rooms. Sit back and smile.
It's taken me a long, long time to appreciate the journey of my life. It's taken even longer to understand what this call to save the world means for both you and me and this world. And it's only been recently that I can say, yes, this call is real. And yes, it has been my life's purpose and mission to answer it. Even if I am the only one who will ever hear this story being told. And that really is the next step, this letting go of doubt, uncertainty, and defenses, and so much more that I have held close as a way to protect what I didn't understand but felt so deeply within. To be ready to take the next step on this long journey with no idea what the outcome will be, the risks I must take, or the dangers I will face. Beginning with this next chapter in our year-long story and finally owning and saying out loud, no matter what anyone else thinks, believes, or cares about, that my life has been devoted to only one thing, to answer the call to save the world. And it is my honor and privilege to do just this. And the first step is to choose to stay human.
Your world is hanging by a thread with
that what motivates me is this idea of saving the world. And I keep telling you what I want these vlogs to be about, and it keeps evolving inside me. And that's really uncomfortable for some people, but the core message is always the same. It's how you tell the story that changes. And it occurred to me the other day that really what this is, in so many ways, it's a love story, because it's always been about two things. It's how do I survive, and why am I here? What is my purpose? And my purpose is to save the world. You know, that's what I hear. And that to me is a love story, because what motivates me isn't anything out in the world. It's not an ego. It's not money. It's not success. It's not relationships. It's not marriage. It's not children. None of those things motivate me. What is just drives me, and I know is crazy, is this idea of what I hear: save the world, save the world, save the world. And I don't ever remember not thinking that, but I do know that I've spent a lot of time figuring out what it's not. And it's only in these last 6 months that something different is happening in terms of my understanding. And obviously I'm putting this at the end because the only people who would ever watch this all the way through are the ones that might be like me and hear this call and be seeking inside, you know, what to do, or just want someone else to sort of identify with that you are not alone and you are not crazy and you are not tilting at windmills. I think the only place that we all screw up is thinking that the real work is something out there and it's not in here. And that takes time. It takes a long time to get to that. At least it did for me. So I just want to say thank you for spending this time with me. As you see, these vlogs are kind of evolving as we go, but I am really enjoying the creative process, so I hope that you are too. And this is my journey. My journey is 90% inside, 10% outside. And the challenge that I am facing is, how do I create imagery and movement and a message that will be interesting enough to watch. But then again, I guess it doesn't matter in the end. But I like the challenge, and so that's what we're doing. We're trying to move the journey to a more authentic place for me, and that's telling you a little bit more about what really goes on within me. Not because I want you to be like me, or I want you to validate me, or I want you to agree with me, but I guess it's just an extension of me trying to over-explain everything. But I'm trying to do it in a fun way, so I hope you enjoy it. If you do, you can subscribe, you can like, you can join us over at one of the websites. All the links are below. I just want to say how much I appreciate you taking this with me, and gosh, if you got all the way to the end, good you. So we're going to take a great old big deep breath. See, we even have a plant here so we can get a little oxygen in our stinky little trailer. Deep breath, and I, my friends, will see you next time. Freedom, you're kind of hiding out this morning. It's hard having a black dog in a dimly lit space and trying to get you to show up on camera, right? Where is the light? I'm running to the...
Plastic soldiers have no name. They spread